Sartharion, the main villain with defenseless balls. Authors comment. During wipes on Sartharion, better turn off the sound, because the hours spent under the words of the boss, Tenebrone, "You also have to protect my balls," begins to drive me crazy. Although they've now revoiced the fight, so I'm not sure. Dissecting Strike is a frontal mile attack, hitting up to 10 players in front of their front paws. No need to stand there. Fire Breath. Frontal fire AoE attack, no need for anyone to stand in front of the boss face, except the tank. Tail Blow, deals damage and stuns. In a bad moment it can be fatal. Standing behind the boss is also unnecessary. In addition to Sartarion's abilities, fire waves play an important role in combat. They appear every 30 seconds to the left or right of the boss's pad. There are several waves at the same time, with gaps between them so you can hide. The wave throws in the lava and hangs a nasty dot, which in difficult modes, deadly. Also, from time to time there are fire elementals, which do not hit hard, but when hit by fire waves come into rabies and can be a problem. Rabies can be relieved by hunters with a subduing shot or by brigands with poison. If fighting Sartarion in the presence of at least one dragon, Tenebrone, Shadron or Visperon, he uses Sartarion's will aura that increases the boss's health by 25%. Each of the 3 additional dragons has its own individual abilities and every 30 seconds opens a portal with all sorts of nastiness inside. Common abilities. Tenebrone, Shadron and Visperon. Cleft of Darkness. Under a random player, a zone is placed that explodes every 5 seconds, dealing 6188-8812 9488-13512 dark magic damage to those standing in it. Dark Breath. Frontal Breath deals 6938-8062 8788-10212 darkness damage to everyone in front of the dragon's face. Upon each dragon's death, Sartarion receives a stacking Twilight Revenge buff. If players enter the portal, see below, they receive a Twilight Shift debuff that weakens their attacks and deals intermittent damage. When exiting the portal, players get a Twilight Substance buff that saves them from accidental death in the entrance area. Tenebrone. If you engage him in combat with Sartarion, he arrives 30 seconds after pooling. Tenebrone's power. The entire raid suffers a debuff that increases damage from dark magic by 100%, drops when Tenebrone dies. Hatch an Egg. Every 30 seconds you open a portal to the Twilight Zone, parallel reality, where Tenebrone lays 6 eggs. Twilight dragons hatch from them after 20 seconds. The dragons fly out of the portal and must be taken by an off-tank. They have one nasty ability. Armor Thawing, which decreases armor to 0. So they need to be killed quickly. Eggs can be killed in the portal, or you can deal with dragons after hatching. Shadron, in the case of his participation in the battle with Sartarion, arrives in 75 seconds after the pool. Shadron's power hangs a debuff on the entire raid, increasing fire damage by 100%, drops when Shadron dies. Every 30 seconds Shadron opens a portal to the parallel world and summons a servant of Shadron. He attacks weakly, but hangs a Twilight Hallows on Sartarion, making him immune and increasing his fire damage by 50%. Visperon. If engaged in combat with Sartarion, it arrives at 120 seconds after pooling. Vesperon's power. Casts a debuff on the raid that decreases maximum health by 25%, drops when Visperon dies. Every 30 seconds, Visperon opens a portal to a parallel world where a servant of Visperon appears. Doesn't hit very hard, but hangs a shield on all mobs that deals darkness damage to the attacker with each hit, and holds a Twilight Torture aura that increases fire and darkness damage by 75%. Important notes: Force of Visperon, Force of Tenebrone and Force of Shadron hang immediately at the moment of Sartarion's pool, and hang until the death of the dragon in charge. The Twilight Revenge buff that Sartarion gets after each dragon dies is stacked, so when the third dragon dies, if you do Sartarion +3, there will be 3 buffs, and Sartarion's physical damage will increase by 75%. Cleft of Darkness, used by Tenebrone, Shadron and Visperon from the moment of landing and independently, i.e., the more dragons landed, the more entrance zones appear. Dragons have a common portal to a parallel reality, i.e., if Shadron and Visperon sit, the portal will still open alone, but there will be 2 attendants. Twilight dragons ignore the difference between realities and can attack people in the portal from the outside. Sartarion's fire breath sometimes glitched, hitting people standing at the side of the boss at 30 meters. Dragons always sit on the platform the same way, Tenebrone on the far edge, Shadron in the middle left, Visperon in the middle right, if you look from the entrance to the dungeon. The portals always open in the same place, just to the left of the center of the pad.